Hey there, welcome back to Video Game Club Podcast Episode 4. The game this week is called HoB. The podcast this week is going to be a bit strange. During the recording of this video, I changed hardware to something a little less broken, but in doing so, I didn't fully set up audio for this particular thing, which means Tim's voice didn't get captured for the first 25 minutes or so of the podcast. Very unfortunately, the recording I have is just me talking to a Spectre person and chuckling awkwardly at nothing. So, I have taken notes and will reiterate what we talked about at each portion of the podcast until Tim's voice returns. Then, I'll play the podcast as usual and everything will be fine. Sorry about this, none of the episodes after this will have this problem, I promise. So, without further ado, here's HoB. HoB is an interesting game on the storefront, but a fairly regular game once you start playing. It's a top-down hack-and-slash game with a heavy focus on narrative and puzzle solving. You're encouraged to explore and defeat enemies you come across, however, neither of those things are required. The gameplay in terms of how the character handles is extremely smooth and very intuitive. It feels very good to play. The camera is strange at times though, in that it will shift perspective when it goes around corners, though it'll give you about a second of lead time where you will continue in that direction before the controls change. The dodge roll in this game is akin to a Dark Souls dodge roll, except longer and infinitely spammable. So you'll find yourself using it and abusing it, since you really don't have a penalty for doing so. Combat in this game isn't difficult, but there are definitely enemies that shouldn't be trifled with. They can kill you in a hit or two and should be respected for what they can do. But, to be clear, there are no bosses in this game. Every combat encounter is a smaller, easy-to-defeat enemy. There is a single boss at the end of the game, yes, but she's entirely optional. This game is very casual in terms of fighting, yet has some of the smoothest and tightest controls for fighting in any game either of us had played. The puzzles in this game aren't terribly difficult, but require some thought. The game never holds your hand and doesn't force you down any paths you don't already want to go down. But as we were playing, it became more and more clear that this game was an extended, 10-hour-long exploration game. You explore parts of the map, gather collectibles, and take in the world building and just enjoy the ride. There is no verbal or written communication in this game. All world building is done via context clues and actions taken by anyone on the cast. There's no exposition. You progress in the game and this story is revealed to you, but it's up to you how much you're going to notice about what's being shown to you. Another thing to note about this game was that there weren't any screen transitions. The only transitions were of you going underground. Otherwise, pretty much any of the revealed world was rendered at any given time and you could go anywhere that wasn't blocked off by later mechanics. Whenever a new part of the world did get revealed, whether that be unblocking it with a mechanic or literally pulling a piece of the world up from the void below, you weren't frozen in place. You could literally run around and interact with the world as it's settling into place, which we both thought was quite unique and interesting for this type of game. With this aspect, it should be noted that the game's graphics are solid. They're 3D, they look stylistically more cartoonish, but with just the right amount of detail to remain serious looking. This game's puzzles, again, are fairly simple. Quite a bit of action, result, repeat. Sometimes this was combined with parkour, but nothing that was frustrating or angering. No puzzle in this game would softlock you to where it would require you reset or start the puzzle over. We both agreed that it was very relaxing the whole way through. The best way I could describe this game was, while playing it, you could just settle into a sort of flow state. I played a 5-hour session and I hardly noticed the time pass. Very relaxing. Both of us recommend that if you get a chance to play this game, that you try to 100% the collectibles, just for the fun and accomplishment of doing so, since you don't really need the sword pieces, which increase your damage dealt, or the health to complete the game. I finished the game with 1 sword upgrade, Tim with 2. I only got 3 full HP upgrades and Tim got the same, but honestly neither felt necessary to complete the game. There are even abilities to upgrade with currency you collect along the way, but almost none of them are needed unless you really want to. So the story in this game is, like I said before, not a lot of communication. It starts with you in a sort of house and your golem friend wakes you up and gets you to come with him. You follow, and as you're going along, the golem presses buttons and opens doors until you come across this purple goop on the ground. You go to touch it, it infects you, and Golem Friend takes decisive action and cuts your infected arm off. This marks the start of the game proper. There's a title screen and names of people who made the game decorating one of the few cutscenes. The golem takes you to another larger house and affixes you with one of his arms, which is strange at first because he's a huge golem and you're a small fleshy man. But it quickly becomes normal. The storytelling aspect of this golem removing a part of himself to save you is immense, and it only increases as time goes on. It becomes clearer and clearer as the game progresses that making sure you're strong and able is important to this golem and his other golem friends. You're there to fix something. It just isn't clear at the start what that something is yet. Essentially, you're a tiny fleshy mechanic tasked with fixing this huge mechanical world. You're there to clean up all this gross purple gunk and its spawn from the machine that is where you live. You don't question it when you're pointed in a direction to go fix something, you just go and do. Next, we're going to talk about the end of the game. There's spoilers and such, so be warned. But this is where Tim's voice returns to the podcast, so I'm going to let this recording play. Enjoy.
So it was like the choices basically you join her, the source of the purple, or you save the others.
Right. Well,
So
because
it's like
as you walk in, it's like you see like three other people that look like you actually.
Yeah, but just slightly larger.
Right. And so yeah, you go and you talk to this like the source of all of the purple goop, because she's like in a sort of like she's sitting in one of the chairs that the people near you or that look like you are also sitting in, but like she's covered in the goop and she's covered in these like butterflies, and she's like, basically join me. So what we haven't actually mentioned is the other, like the person that you end up fighting, I believe. So what I think that is I think that is a like fully corrupted version of like
basically
what you
your
are.
player character, yeah.
Yes. And so
Just like a yeah.
And so yeah, and like if at the beginning you didn't have your arm removed, that's what you would have turned into.
Happened to you, yeah.
I think that's what it is.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't think about that.
And so because like if you notice, there are certain times during the game where like that guy's just hanging around, like watching you.
Just shows up. Yeah.
And then there's one point where like you're about to fight an enemy
that you
to save
can't
these fairies
at the time,
and like they come in and like crush it in one hit, and they're like, "Sup?"
And
then they leave.
You're just like, what the heck? I could have dealt with that just fine.
Yeah. And so yeah, you basically are like given the choice to join these two to like make a better world.
Yeah, because I think there was some of the gestures made me think that like the source either like came to that world from somewhere else or like crashed or like I don't know.
Right.
Or if they came there on purpose. Again, it's up to interpretation, but that's mine at least.
Yeah.
And they either like did it on purpose or it was just like a byproduct of just trying to survive.
Right.
You know?
I do believe it was like, it's sort of like a parasitic, because it's kind of implied that the people sitting in the chairs are like pretty powerful.
Are captive. Yeah, and also captive. So it's like,
well, I'm saying like by sitting in the chairs, they become something important about the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's important that like if because she's sitting in the chair that you know something is happening.
Yeah.
Like she's doing something to the world basically.
Hmm.
Uh and so yeah, it's really interesting.
But yeah, the other choice to well to okay, first off, let's start with the one I did first, I guess. Was the I opted to join first just to
Okay.
see just because it was the first option. It was option A. It's the one that is like when they present you with the options, that's when they show you first. Um so I did that and it just credits.
Yep. Just credits.
That's it.
Yep.
It just kicks you to credits and then you're like, "Okay, well, I guess that's what
You're
that
like,
happened."
can I try again?
And then
And you
after
can.
that, yeah, you can. But after oh, jeez. After the credits, you get another little cutscene of the one-armed golem. I believe he uh, found us another arm to regain, so he's now the two-armed golem again. But he is looking through the same like doors that he found you in.
Yeah.
So
Which,
basically, he's looking around for another you
yeah, he's looking for
to
another
cleanse the
person to
world
wake up to fix things.
because what happens when you join is the world gets even more corrupted.
Right. Or like return to the level of corruption. Because
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, in order to progress this far in the game, you have
You
to
have
have
to
like
you have to
cleansed
clear it
all
all.
7
Yeah.
areas, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Freed all these little fairy things that obviously live there, et cetera, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera.
But
And
yeah,
so,
the robot, the golem is looking for another um like player character basically
right,
to clean again.
right.
So
Um, which is like, it's kind of, it kind of brings the beginning of the game into focus of like
yeah,
how
it
important it
does
is.
because it was
So,
like you literally just like this golem opens the door and you're there and it's just like, "Oh, okay." And then you also realize at the end of the game it's like, "Okay, actually this is the other ending. Let's go into that."
okay,
The other ending, if you save the other people in the chairs that look like you battle the like corrupted version of you, I suppose,
right.
and which is quite a decent fight and the only
Yeah.
boss fight.
I mean, actually, like an intense fight. Not
Yeah, it
like
was.
I don't think I was ever in danger of losing it
I
because of how much
did
health there was
lose
dropping.
once.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty much full health the whole time just because like if as long as you clear the like
I think I
summons.
I think I messed up like a um an opening or an attack or something and I died, so
Ah,
just don't worry about that.
yeah. As long
But
as you
yeah,
like kill the additional enemies they spawn, it's no big deal.
yeah,
Um,
pretty much. But yeah, it was a very good boss fight
yeah,
considering all the like I mean we already went over the controls and stuff, so it was very very good.
right,
Only boss fight in the game. You do that and you defeat them and it like the you know, I guess something we probably also should have mentioned. When you first walk into the room and you see the beings that look like you in the chairs,
mm,
they wake up this because this is actually quite important. They wake up and scare you to tripping over some of the like
the
pustules, I guess,
and you get like
or like
infected.
bubbles, and you get infected again.
Hmm.
And what happens is the source of the purple like saves you from it.
Right.
So it's like that's kind of the incentive to join.
Right.
And I think
Well,
I feel like we
it's
need to
like
mention this.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's pretty much what's what we didn't mention, but it's like it's trickery, right? It's
It
like
is. It's trickery.
it's selling
It's like
somebody poison
they
and
save your
then
life, and it's like, okay, well, join me,
yeah, it's like
and
selling somebody poison and then giving them an antidote without them knowing that you sold them the poison, and then then they're indebted to you for the rest of your life.
yeah.
Or their life, and then
But
they're
then
willing to do whatever you say,
yeah,
and it's trickery, right? And
but yeah,
so
as we know what happens if you join,
right, but like
not good.
when you don't, and then you kill her, and it like cleanses the entire area
Yeah.
of all the purple, and then the ending cutscene for that after the credits is that all these other like smaller ones like you
That literally look
look
exactly the same as
exactly
you
like you
come out of the
wake
houses,
up and start walking around like,
start
oh,
walking around and like,
hey,
"Oh
we're
my gosh,
awake.
this there's this whole world out here."
Right.
S
So the
which
way that I
again
feel like that is, what that means is this world is a it's a twofold world, right?
yeah.
It is run primarily by the robot golems,
Mhm.
and then there is a biological counterpart in your character's people that
Yes.
take care of them basically, right?
Mhm.
And so you can see that by there's one part of the world that is literally composed mostly of the corpses of all of these robots that tried to fight the purple, the starting purple thing. There are just there are
Just
hundreds littered everywhere.
littered everywhere.
um there are so few just roaming around that are alive that it's you're in the single digits, right?
Yeah.
And so
I
when I
think the
say you are a tiny mechanic off to fix things, I mean that in every sense.
yeah.
That is your people's purpose. And whenever the source, I guess, sat down in the chair, the she sort of removed the world's immune system in
Yeah,
order,
which
and
is
then
what a virus/parasite kinda does,
well, sometimes, but
tries
yeah,
to do.
and then substituted her own, which was the purple goop, and then the robot golems tried to fight her, and she just piled them up and made them into scenery.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, what I saw was, like, basically those little homes/caves that they walk out of were, like, safe havens, safe zones
Right,
from the purple stuff. So it was like you guys were sleeping to be safe from the purple.
right,
So it was like when in the first ending or the bad ending, I guess,
yeah,
um, the golem goes around looking for another one to help.
hmm,
He goes and looks in those to wake somebody up, like he did at the beginning of the game, which is
right,
you.
right.
So yeah.
But
So
yeah,
it's like when all if because all of the purple is gone in the good ending, they can all come back out and roam free because they're safe outside.
right,
There's no more monsters, there's no more purple, there's no more anything.
right.
They can roam free outside.
Well, the way that I saw it was that they were asleep because by the source taking over that final seat that you end up sitting in, the rest of us, or the rest of your people, were just shut down basically.
Yeah.
And so by defeating her and taking her place, everyone wakes up because there's nothing keeping them asleep.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like
Yeah. And
because
so
it was in safe they were in the safe haven because there was still danger outside, they weren't allowed to come back out.
well, yeah, I don't mean cuz when you are in there, it's not like you're awake, you're sleeping
Mhm.
at the beginning of the game. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like you're just oh wow, the door's open, let's go outside
No,
now.
it's like stasis,
Yeah,
basically.
you're in
It's like a
stasis.
safe stasis.
But yeah, and so yeah, it's this game is incredibly well done, just in every
Yeah.
single aspect.
Mhm.
I will like I don't think there's really much else to say.
No, I don't think so.
I
It's
I
very
know that
good.
it's I really don't know if I should give this game a 10 out of 10, but I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10 because I don't know what a 10 out of 10 looks like right now.
I
I
it's looking
hesitate to
pretty good.
give any game a 10 out of 10 because like what game is perfect, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say
like
that's like the
this
fallacy.
is
You can't give it anything perfect.
for the type of game it is. This is pretty darn close.
It's very, very close.
There are some very minor flaws that it
Mhm.
has with its like camera and some of the positioning of certain
Some of
things,
them, yeah,
but
but not many. Not many at
not
all.
many that were important.
I think I'm going to agree
Oh,
with you on the 9.5.
like a 9.5, like a
Or like
reluctantly 9.5.
as close to a 10 as you can get. I guess
Yeah,
like a 9.9 or a 9.5 is fine.
yeah. So that's what I
Um,
would say.
I agree with that. I'll also
If
give it a 9.5.
if you can pick this up, if you got it from free from Epic Games, it's
Um,
$20 on Epic Games. I don't know if it's on Steam, but I would recommend going and picking it up if you can. If you like this kind of game, it is an extremely enjoyable experience. Yeah.
it is $20 also on Steam.
Yeah. So if you can spare the $20, or if you just want to put it on your wish list and maybe it'll go on sale, or maybe it'll come back around on the Epic Games free games like once a week, because that's how we got it. It
Yeah,
is extremely worth playing if you
y
need a
I
cozy
it
game.
is,
Oh,
um, you know why? I think it is made by the studio who made Torchlight 1 and 2,
oh, really?
which are, I think, also good games. I
Yeah,
haven't played them myself,
I never played
but,
Torchlight.
um, I've heard that they're also really good
Yeah, its
games.
developer is Runic Games, and they made HoB. They made Torchlight, Torchlight 2. Yeah. Wow, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that we have family that has said Torchlight is really good,
It's
but
really good, yeah.
if it's anything if it's a combat focused game, but the combat's anything like HoB, go play those games too.
Go play those games too, yeah.
Cuz yeah, definitely worth it. So, all right. Well,
Alright,
do we have anything else to
uh,
say?
before we end here, I wanted to ask, what was your favorite area?
What was my favorite area?
Mhm.
Good question. Um, possibly the water area.
Really? I mean, that was a pretty good area,
Yeah,
but
maybe
mine
either the water area or the forest, like jungle area.
oh, the forest area is so good. But mine, I think, is probably the underground area.
Yeah,
I
it
think
was pretty
Area
cool.
3 where you go down that big elevator. Because after I did that, like, I went down the elevator and, like, when I started going through that area, you started hitting switches that basically, like, turned the entire world on.
Hmm.
It was like these giant, enormous engines.
Yeah,
It was like I it was so good.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I liked the reason why I liked the water area was because at some point you were like going around and there's a fish where it'll
Oh,
just eat
yeah.
you.
It'll
Like
just eat
if
you
you
if
don't
you
deal with it, it'll just eat you, and you can't kill
actually,
it.
I didn't I didn't have any problems with that. I It ate me once the first time I
I
got in the
let it
water,
eat
and then,
me
like
just to see if it would.
yeah, pretty much. It was
um,
like but otherwise, I didn't really have any issues. I almost swam in the water, like, the whole time, and nothing happened.
I like the fact that like most places will like it was something that you couldn't kill, but it was something that was easily avoidable if you were paying
Yeah,
attention, which
yeah,
meant that you
because there
had
was
to pay attention, which means that like you're not bored. So I liked it.
yeah, there was some platforms that, rang like a bell or something underwater, and it would,
Which
like,
would
keep it
stun it.
away.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, 10 out of or
Yeah,
9.5 out of 10. Go play this game. Heavily
go play this
suggest.
game.
I enjoyed, he enjoyed. Next
I think
game
you will too.
is
Whoever is listening.
what is our next game here? We got to mention that. Next game
Oh
is
yeah,
Submerged Hidden
Merged.
Depths. Yeah, another game we got on the Epic Games Store. Have you seen? Have you figured out what we're doing here yet?
I haven't seen anything about it. I haven't. No.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything with it.
But yeah,
that's the next
enough
game
from us. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great one.
Yep.
And we'll see you later.
See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.